morning.
Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name?
My first name is Loring, Loring. My last name is Nudd, Nudd.
And do you have a nickname that you go by?
I do.
What's that?
Everybody knows me as Chuck.
Chuck. Do you work, sir?
I do.
What do you do for work?
So I'm a firefighter EMT with the Duxbury Fire Department. I was at that time. I am now retired.
Okay, so when did you retire?
So I retired a year ago.
A year ago? Mm-hmm. And so how long had you been working with Duxbury Fire before your retirement?
A little over 30 years.
30? And can you explain what your role was as a Duxbury firefighter?
So if I was an EMT, which 80% of our calls are probably that related. So I would assist a paramedic, or I would drive the ambulance, or whatever was necessary at the time. And then we were also did fire suppression, and we were all trained in that and went to the academy and all that.
Okay, and can you tell us what the difference is between an EMT and a paramedic?
So a paramedic requires another year or two of training, and they're able to prescribe meds. Not prescribe meds, excuse me. Give meds that they have according to what they need to do. They can also read the monitor that shows rhythms in the heart and what have you.
Is it fair to say that as an EMT, you're trained in basic life-saving techniques,
Correct.
While a paramedic is advanced life-saving techniques?
Correct.
And so at Duxbury Fire Department, is it also fair to say that each and every firefighter has that dual role of either being an EMT, a paramedic, and a firefighter?
Yes, some are. There might be one EMT, just a basic, where most of them are the medics but we're all firefighters too. Okay.
And in the town of Duxbury, does the town itself have its own ambulances?
Yes.
In addition to the fire engines?
Yes.
And there's also ladder trucks, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you were working as a Duxbury firefighter, what was the schedule? How did you work your shifts?
So we worked 24-hour shifts.
And then how many days on and how many days off?
So we'd have 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, and 5 off.
And a 24-hour shift, when did it start and end?
It was 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock the next morning.
So if I direct your attention to January 24th of 2023, you were still working for the Duxbury Fire Department then, correct?
Correct.
And were you on a 24-hour shift that day?
I was.
At some point during the day, were you given kind of what your assignment was for that shift?
Yes.
What was your assignment?
So that day, we all kind of float around a little bit, but we had a newer member that had made progress. He was an EMT and then made it to paramedic. So I was kind of what they called the backup guy. So I would do whatever fill-in needed to be done, and I would assist with them if necessary. Okay.
And so were you kind of assigned to the ambulance at the central station as that backup person?
I was.
And the person that you identified was kind of the newer employee. What was his name?
Paramedic Doherty.
And that would be Daniel Doherty?
Daniel Doherty, yeah.
And who was the other Duxbury firefighter that was assigned to the ambulance that shift?
It would have been paramedic Kevin Heath.
So at approximately 6 o'clock or just after 6 p.m., were you advised of a dispatch to a residence in the town of Duxbury?
Yes.
And where was that dispatch going to take you?
So it was going to take us to Summer Street.
And so you and firefighter Heath and firefighter Doherty, you all get in the ambulance?
Correct.
And do you go to 47 Summer Street?
We do.
Who was in the ambulance, who was assigned as kind of the driver and the tech?
So at that time, because we had heard, what kind of call we had an idea of what call we were going to. The two medics sat up front and were able to converse while I sat in the back and again was that backup guy, more or less.
Okay. And as far as the nature of the call that you believed you were coming into, is it fair to say that the initial call had to deal with a female that had gone out the window, possibly a suicide?
Yeah, as I remember, it was a second floor fall.
At the time that you were dispatched to that location, did you know that there was any pediatric patients or children involved?
No.
Now, approximately how long did it take to get from the station, Central Station, to 47 Summer Street, if you recall?
I'm going to say 4 to 5 minutes.
And when you arrived on scene, were there already other emergency personnel on scene?
There were.
Were you the first ambulance on scene?
We were.
How about fire trucks? Were there any other fire trucks from Duxbury?
The fire truck, you could hear it in the background, but it wasn't there yet.
So is it fair to say that there were some Duxbury police cruisers that had arrived just ahead of you?
Correct.
Where did you go with the ambulance when you got to that address of 47 Summer Street?
So as we were pulling up, I could hear the two guys up front say, the cruisers are in the way of the driveway. So I said, okay, you guys take the call, meaning get out of the car and get out of the truck and get started, and I'll take care of the truck.
Okay. And so when you come to the address, are you able to at least pull into the driveway at some point?
Not at that point. Because I was in the back, I switched to the driver's seat. And at that time, I saw an officer coming, and he was getting ready to move the vehicle that was in our way so that I could back in.
And so were you able to then back the ambulance into the driveway?
I was.
And were there other vehicles that were not emergency personnel vehicles in the driveway?
There might have been some of their vehicles, but there might have been, but I don't really. I had enough room to put my vehicle there, and that's all that mattered.
Okay, so when you backed the ambulance in, Firefighter Heath and Firefighter Doherty, what did they do?
They had already jumped out. Grabbed the gear, and taken off for the back of the house.
Once you got the ambulance secured in the driveway, what did you do?
So, assuming that they were going to need a stretcher, I started pulling a stretcher out of the back of the ambulance.
And again, you said you backed the ambulance in?
Correct.
As you were pulling the stretcher out of the back of the ambulance, did you observe somebody coming from the house?
Yes.
What did you see?
One of the police officers was carrying a child.
And so what did you do when you saw him carrying the child out of the house?
So at that point, the stretcher was almost out of the vehicle, and I said, over here, and he placed him on the stretcher.
Were you able to make observations of the child as he's being placed on the stretcher?
I was.
What did he look like?
So his face was blue. He had marks around his neck, and his body was pale.
And so once the officer, or first off, was the officer somebody you knew from Duxbury?
Correct. It was Officer Homestead.
Okay. And once the child was placed on the stretcher, what did you do after you made that initial observations of him?
So we rolled it right inside so he could start doing CPR.
Now, as an EMT, what is the first thing you generally do when you're observing a patient or assessing a patient?
So you always look for response, and you go for airway.
Okay. And fair to say there's kind of what they call the ABCs?
Correct.
Can you tell the jurors what that means?
So it's airway, breathing, circulation.
Okay. And in this circumstance, were you able to observe the child breathing on his own?
No.
How about, were you able to secure an airway for him?
Not at that time. We were still doing the preliminary.
And how about circulation or pulse or cardiac activity? Were you able to determine any of that upon your initial assessment of him?
At that point, no.
Now, after you are in the back of the ambulance, do other EMTs or other paramedics come and assist you with this child?
Yes. So when the patient was getting rolled in, I also yelled out to my captain, hoping that he was going to hear me, that I needed a medic in my truck, because I needed him to know that there was someone in my truck. Okay. And I'm assuming someone heard me, and they then directed a medic to my truck once one appeared.
Okay. And so the medic that came to the truck, was that Keith Nettie?
Yes.
And that was not the original person who went to the scene with you in the ambulance, was it?
Correct.
Okay. And what happened when you had the child in the back of the ambulance? What did you guys do to try to tend to him?
So we were doing CPR, and then there was he wanted to check the monitor. So we we got the monitor out.
Okay. And with the monitor, what was the monitor supposed to be looking for?
Heart rhythm.
Okay. And so do you have to kind of hook that up to the patient in order to assess whether there's any activity?
Correct.
And those monitors that you have in your equipment, do they do anything more than just check for heart rate?
The paramedic can then look and see what kind of, not just a heart rate, but a rhythm. And then
If there is not a rhythm, does that machine help you to do anything to try to restart somebody's heart?
with a rhythm, with the rhythm that they gave us, they said, we can disconnect it, because they were concerned they needed the monitor downstairs too, or elsewhere.
And is it fair to say that at that point you're assisting the paramedic with their assessment and running that equipment and checking the monitor?
No, I'll allow it, but let's kind of move on.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Re-ask that.
Are you assisting the paramedic at that point to treat the child in the ambulance? At some point, do you leave the ambulance?
I do.
And where do you go after you leave the ambulance?
I bring the monitor down to the basement.
Are the other paramedics and the other responders still working on the child?
Correct.
And to be basement.
Because my they said they needed equipment in the basement.
So when
There were.
were you to make observations of those children?
Not really. I mean, they weren't crying.
Okay. Fair to say they were being treated by others?
Correct.
And so once you dropped off that equipment, did you go back outside?
I did.
And what ultimately was your role at the end of this call? What were you asked to do?
I was asked to drive.
So the ambulance that responded from Duxbury, that's ambulance number 1?
Correct.
Ambulance 1. Did you drive that ambulance to a hospital?
Correct.
Which hospital was that?
I forget if it was the Jordan or the BI now, but it's the Plymouth Hospital.
Here in Plymouth?
Correct.
And that was with Dawson Clancy in the back, correct?
Correct.
No further questions. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Attorney Reddington?
No questions. Enjoy your retirement.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.